Hi, I'm Tom Lupfer, President of Lupfer Landscaping, and I'm here today to talk to you about mulch. I want to teach you about the newest sustainable practice for the landscaping industry. Now, mulching is a commonly accepted practice that most landscapers perform on a regular basis. We apply 2 inches of fresh mulch to the bed year after year, whether it needs it or not, and that becomes a problem. Now, take that problem and apply it to a large, established homeowner association of a couple hundred acres. This association, Tartan Lakes in Westmont, Illinois, has 50 high-end townhomes and has been mulched every year with 125 yards of mulch for 20 years. That's 2,500 yards of mulch, a truly staggering amount of material. There can be 6 or more inches of mulch that is hardened to form a plywood-like barrier. While it may keep out the weeds, it is horrible for the plants. The trees lose water, the shrubs can't grow, and the perennials are choked out. Nothing really lives in a heavily mulched bed. We've seen it all before. It's like solitary confinement. Nothing but a couple of daylilies and a few sedum left, with a tree struggling a long, slow death. But the customer demands fresh mulch every year, so you add more and move on. But as you can see here, we don't need any more mulch. We have 6 inches of wood chips already in place to stop the weeds. But the customer wants their fresh look, don't they? So what do? You continue to pile on the mulch year after year. But no, this is an unsustainable practice. There's too many materials being brought into the job site. The health of the ecosystem is being degraded. We know the problem, but what is the solution? Once again, sustainability leads the way. Since the only difference between these old chips and these new chips is the color, our solution is to apply the colorant directly to the chips already in place. We figured out a process in which a crew can sweep through a dull, poorly maintained bed and turn it into a fresh, sustainable landscape in less time, using less materials than it takes to mulch a bed using traditional methods. And I'll explain how to do it. First, we edge the beds and rough up the mulch already there. We want to break the barrier that is formed to allow the water to penetrate, and then we evenly distribute the mulch in the bed. So this can be done separately with your cleanup operations, but I personally have found that the level of detail the crew can attain when edging and mulching together to be unbeatable. Next, we lightly spray the colorant to the area using a traditional landscaping practice that all of our crew members are trained on, the 4-gallon backpack sprayer. We buy the dye in 28-gallon drums, and one drum replaces the equivalent of 150 yards of mulch. Think about the staggering amount of material reduction. The mix rate is around 30 ounces per 4-gallon backpack sprayer, depending on conditions. So in the end, we're using 35% less colorant than we would using the traditional mulching techniques. Not only are we reducing the amount of mulch used per square foot, but we're also reducing the amount of colorant used per square foot. To speed up the process, I have one crew member follow another to apply the dye twice. You'll get more uniform coverage, and they don't have to be as detailed. Finally, we use a thin top coating of fresh mulch in the bare areas, and we're done. This photo here is an example of how much mulch we are actually using without the dye applied underneath. You can see that it doesn't even begin to cover the ground. And if you want to get really fancy, you can use recycled stormwater for the mix, and you'll be well on your way to being a sustainable landscaper. What used to take 6 guys, days and days in a huge truck with a trailer with over hundreds of tons of materials, literally semi-loads delivered to the site, now takes 3 guys, a lot less time, and a lot less material. And the best part about all of this is it will save your client a ton of money, which you can then use to start filling in those bare areas that you've been having to mulch year after year. Think about it. What you've done is taken money that has been traditionally budgeted for a recurring cost and started using that to increase the beauty of the account. So mulching this way meets the sustainability trifecta. It's environmentally friendly because it reduces the amount of materials being used in the landscape, the plants are healthier, and more water is being absorbed on site. It's economically feasible because it saves the client a lot of money, and it makes the contractor using this method more competitive. And finally, it meets a client need. They want their mulch to look new. This technique meets all three of those requirements. So I encourage you to incorporate it into your business practices and be more sustainable today.